let's talk about the conversations that move collaborations forward. Thank you for joining me today. I'm Monique Alvarez, the founder of Network Like the Rich. So let's dive into this. And hopefully this is streaming over on Facebook. Let me make sure. Okay, here we go. It looks like it is. I'm going to also share this over to my Facebook group, Network Like the Rich. If you're not in that group, we would love to have you. So how are conversations different? I will tell you, this is the skill that separates the boys from the men, shall we say. So when people come into my world, they're already networking, they already have a business, but they want to get better results. They want more to happen as a result of networking and building relationships, cultivating relationships. I'd love for you to tell me in the comments below, how often do you currently network, and do you network online or off? So are you networking every week, once a month, twice a week? I'd love to hear. The biggest thing that I noticed, so when I started my business, when Derek and I started our business 16 years ago, I knew that I couldn't grow a business alone. Like, I was clear on that. If I knew one thing for sure, it was that neither one of us had any business experience. I had been a volunteer overseas in my 20s. Derek had a degree in art, and we knew that there were gaps. We had things that we were good at, but there was a lot of things that we weren't good at. And so I knew that relationships and connections were going to be key. And the very first thing that we did when we started our business is I went to 12 individuals and I said, this is what we're up to. This is what we're focusing on. And we would love to put together this group where we comment on each other's social media posts. This is way back when social media was new, where we talk about, we run by each other, this is what offer we're promoting. Do you know anyone who would be a right fit for? Would you be willing to email your list? Would you be willing to make an introduction? I laid out very specific criteria. So to be part of the group of 12, they had to be willing to do, 3 to 5 things every week, every month. And that was the commitment. And we were going to do it for each other. And in addition to that, I was networking all the time. I networked almost every single day. If there was a networking event, I was there. We started off in person, and then we came online 10 years ago after I had 2 babies in 12 months. And so what I learned very quickly is it's easy to waste time when you're networking. And if you know me, what's my number one pet peeve? Wasting time. So I had no problem networking. I had no problem going to breakfast, lunch, dinner, tea, coffee. I had no problem doing that if I knew when I go to breakfast with, Lisa, things move forward. As soon as I figured out going to breakfast with Sally was a waste of time, I didn't want to give Sally my time anymore. And so what I had to distill down and figure out is these are the conversations, these are the questions that actually move things forward. So let me ask you this. When you are at a networking event, whether it's formally a networking event or if it's impromptu, for example, it's you're at the soccer field, or you're at a dinner party, or you get invited somewhere. Are you super clear on the questions to ask people? And actually, I should probably back it up from there. Are you the one asking the questions? Are you leading the conversations? And this is the first thing that I noticed is people who made things happen and people who had the respect of everyone in the room, who everyone wanted to stand closer to them, they were leading the conversations. They were not standing around waiting for someone else to lead the conversation and participating in it. They were asking the questions. They were leading the charge. So that's the number one thing I've noticed is whether you're at a networking event or you've asked someone for a chunk of their time, are you prepared? And do you know the questions and conversations that you have to have? The second thing that I would say is that most people ask the same questions and they don't really lead to anywhere fruitful. So let's do the ones we know. And anyone else, like all my clients say, like, I hate small talk. Yeah. Me too. So what always leads to small talk? Hi, how are you? And this is just a knee-jerk reaction. This is just what do you call it when you're autopilot? This is an autopilot question. Notice how often when you are anywhere, you say, Hi, how are you? So the hi, how are you? What do you do for a living? What were you up to this weekend? What do you got going on? Are you staying busy? All of these questions are lower tier questions. They keep us in circles, they keep it surface level, but this is not what moves things forward. This is not what creates cash flow. This doesn't create referrals, clients, collaborations ever. It's it's sort of what we do when we don't know what else to say, or when we're in situations where maybe we don't even want to be there, right? This is just our default. So what I oh let me okay, yeah, it's streaming. What I want to show you is what to say instead. So I had done a survey on social media, and I do this from time to time, and asking people, what's the most important thing that you would say to someone who's attending their first networking event or is going to be attending a networking event soon? And almost every single person said something like, be yourself, trust the process, um, you know, be clear on what you want to get out of it. But not a single person said, decide that you're going to lead conversations and know one, two, or three questions that you're going to ask people in order to move the relationship forward. I found it really fascinating. So there's questions that you can ask that, number one, allow you to immediately figure out who this person is, what makes them tick, how serious they are about their business, how experienced they are, if they're movers and shakers or if they're not. Because here's the truth of the matter is, for me, I look at people and I only put them in two categories. These are people who they're on their way, they're doing great things. There's nothing wrong with them. They're not bad people, but they just don't have certain things figured out. They're still in the exploratory phase. They're figuring out who they are. They're figuring out who they are in their business. They're figuring out what offers they have, who they help. Um, they're figuring out how they present themselves, how they introduce themselves, and they aren't necessarily at the place where they're like, listen, I know I have these two offers and I have a list of 5 professionals that I would love to collaborate with. And when we do that, as we do that, I know that we could generate $20,000 to $50,000 on a joint launch. So it allows me to see there's people here and there's people here. When I had, gosh, at any given time, 4 or 5 collaboration partners in our publishing company, I would determine all of this through one simple conversation that never took more than 7 minutes. And that's the thing. When people are like, oh, I need an hour of your time, they don't. When you ask people for an hour of their time, you don't need it. Within 7 minutes, you can determine which group and which category people are on. So, for example, when I would do collaborations with books, I was talking with podcasters primarily, or people who had a large Facebook group. So these are questions I would ask them. How many people have you interviewed on your podcast? If they said 300 people or more, we could move on to the next question. If they're like, well, I've interviewed 42 people and 12 of them are live and, I'm getting going, then I knew right away that they were not my person. I needed somebody who had more interviews under their belt, who had more relationships, more email addresses, more of a community to pull from. And so if they said 300 or more, then we went to the next step. After you interview people, you have this process of communication, right? You let them know when their interview goes live. You give them links and graphics. You have all that in place. Yes? Yes. This tells me how organized and how many systems they have. For some people, when that's messy, that's why their podcast episodes are so delayed and so backed up. The other thing that I would ask them, as long as things were going in the right direction, is, have you ever invited these people to tell their story somewhere else? So They obviously want to tell their story. They told their story on your podcast. They were wanting access to a new audience. Have you invited them to do something else? Most podcasters said no. I've never offered them anything. I've never sold them anything. I've never invited them to anything. And then I would ask them, if you went to every single person that you've interviewed and you personally invited them, so you could send out a group email, but if you personally invited them to join you in sharing their story in a book, how many do you think would say yes? Almost every, well, I won't say almost, every single person who I collaborated with said at least 10%, if not 20. And makes sense. Those are easy numbers. If I've interviewed 500 people on my podcast, it makes sense that 50 of them would want to go on and tell their story in a book. So when I asked these questions, number one, I knew what I was listening for. And number two, they had this opportunity to show me that they knew their numbers, that they know their audience, that they know their thing, and that this is what they were willing to do. So this is what I recommend that you do. When you want to expand your reach, whether you want to get into other people's audiences, other people's communities, networks, email lists, or if you want to do something joint, right? Whether it's a referral partner, an affiliate, whatever you want to call it, collaboration partner, I want you to decide, who are these people? Who are the people that you would like to do this with? You might have specific names, you might have industries, you might have titles, whatever you have, start there. You have a list of people. And then what I want you to do is figure out your key questions. You really typically don't need more than 3 questions that help you qualify this person. And this is the key, is that you qualify people so that your collaborations and the things that you say yes to and that they say yes to have a greater chance of being successful. If you're not qualifying collaborators, if you're not qualifying the people that you're partnering with, you're both going to figure out the hard and long way if you are or aren't a good fit. Yeah. So what are your qualifying questions? So I gave you some examples. What would it look like for your business, for your industry? And for every networking event that that you ever attend for all of time, could you have 1 or 2 key questions that you have ready and prepared that allow you to get to the heart of people faster than, hi, how are you? How was your weekend? What do you do for a living? Because then you are able to go deeper faster. I left a voice message today with someone, and I say this all the time. I'm a person who moves fast. I'm intense and I move fast. I hate wasting time. And I am like the gasoline on everyone's fire. I'm a fire sign. I'm fire all the way around. Every single thing will state that. Every single chart, you can look at astrological, human design, whatever, life path number. I'm this fiery, feisty, and I like to move things forward. I'm not interested in having conversations and Zoom calls and chit chats and, or, brainstorming things for all of time to get, an extra $100 in my bank account, or maybe to figure out there's nothing there anyway. It just all fizzles out. I do not enjoy that. If you also like to move fast, if you actually like when things happen and you're tired of circling, right? How many relationships do you feel like you're circling? You're kind of all tiptoeing around the tulips, and we're avoiding the real thing. If you've ever been afraid to nail things down, if you've ever been afraid to get to the heart of the matter, what I can tell you is once you do, and once you have your 2, 3, 4 key questions, you're gonna be like, oh my gosh, this is so worth it, because there's big payoff in that, right? So these are the conversations that move things forward. Questions that qualify people, that allow you to see these are the ideal fit, these are not the ideal fit. And when it comes to partnerships and collaborations, when you put 2 people together, everything is magnified and expanded and amplified. And so when they are a good fit, it's really a good fit. And when they're not really a good fit, it's really not enjoyable. So what I have found is, like, the more bullseye you can get, the better off everything is. And it's a better experience for you, them, everyone, your audience, right? Because you don't want to take your audience through this mediocre experience. So, what are your questions? If you have these nailed down and you can have this conversation, just rapid fire, boom, 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 in 7 minutes or less, you will be able to identify really good collaboration partners, referral partnerships that are going to benefit you. And then you will be immediately able to see these aren't even worth it, right? They're not there yet. Doesn't mean that they won't get there, but they're not there today. And I'm not interested, at least not for free, in getting people there, right? I'm happy to do that for clients, but when I meet people at networking events, no, I'm not going to be their mentor for free. They need to already be there. So that's a key thing to keep in mind with these conversations is be able to assess, are these potential partners and collaborators on my level or higher? Or are they falling under me and am I dealing with a lot of potential, right? How many of you have ever dated a guy with a lot of potential? You already know how that turns out. You're going to be his mama, right? You're going to be wiping his nose and yeah, the same thing will happen in collaborations. So I'd love to hear from you in the comments. If you want to talk more about these questions, how do you identify these questions? Let's figure that out. I've got two different things that I'm super excited about where I'd love for you to come in so we could continue the conversation. The first one is Rich Mixer. This is our networking group. And if you've ever wanted to network with people who actually know how to network, because most people don't, if you're tired of getting cornered by somebody who talks your ear off for 25 minutes or meetings that have no structure, no clear leadership, no questions and prompts that actually get things moving, if you want to leave every networking event and feeling like the needle is moving forward and I'm meeting awesome people, then we want you to be in. There is a special I have right now going. My birthday is December 12th, so you can join by December 12th and you get the year membership for only $77, which is amazing. And the bonus that you get in addition to this birthday special is you get to promote 7 days a week whenever you want in my Facebook group, Network Like the Rich. The second thing that I would like to invite you to is I am going to be taking a handful of people in the new year through collaborations, whether it's with me or somebody that they know they want to collaborate with, doing this in real time, walking it through everything from the strategic plan to the timeline to the promo, the social media posts, the emails, the graphics, every single thing that's necessary. What are the upsells, downsells, cross sells after this initial promotion? What does this look like? And keeping it on track, because this is where most people have an issue, right? Things slow and then they stall and they go to die. I'm going to be opening up a couple spots for private work. If you want to be the first to know about that, drop me a private message or an emoji below, and I'll make sure that you're the first to find out about them. Make sure that every conversation you have is moving things forward. Circling becomes frustrating for everyone. And here's the reason why you want to be known as the person who has good questions and who can lead good conversations that actually go somewhere, is everyone will be willing to give you their time. Everyone will want to stand closer to you, and everyone will know my life and my business will be better if I'm associated with her. That's the kind of reputation you want. That's what it's all about, because then you have no issues. No issues. When you want to do something and you're like, hey, I want to do this, people will be like, I want to do it with you because you got your act together. All right. I shall see you tomorrow. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Let me find the button. I'll talk to you soon.